The SA Innovation Summit is back in person and online for 2022 and celebrating 15 years as the continent's largest and most influential tech startup event. Africa's biggest tech startup event will again facilitate deals for founders, ecosystem builders and investors across the continent and the globe. Now, to tell us more about the event, we're now joined via Zoom by Buntu Majaja, CEO at SA Innovation Summit. Buntu, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Now, SA Innovation back in person, online for 2022 must be very exciting. How many people are attending this year's event, and how much are you hoping to raise? Because we know that last year, the event managed to raise $22 million worth of investments.
Hi, Unati. Thank you so much for having me, and a good afternoon to your guests and your listeners. This year, we have seen really an unprecedented demand in terms of what we had planned, because right now we have almost 900 people that have registered and attended over the last 2 days, and yesterday there was about 700 people that had attended. We do, however, appreciate that a lot of the work that is done from an investment perspective doesn't happen so much so on the spot here at the summit. It is something that we see with deals that are catalyzed here at the summit, but following on from the summit, then people will meet again and again and again and potentially then close their deals. I do have heard of investment deals that have been repicked up. Some of those were being discussed before, and today again are being repicked up, and also new deals as well, where investors have said, actually, we're very interested. Let's take the conversation forward. So we do certainly hope that it is a growing trend compared to last year in terms of what we will raise and beat that $22 million mark previously. But in general, over the last years, we have facilitated almost R1 billion in ecosystem investment and funding.
That is amazing. So, of course, we know that, the tech business can empower South Africa's entrepreneurs. But just looking at South Africa's unemployment rate, which currently stands at 33.9%, talk to us about the role then that innovation plays in creating jobs.
Super. Thanks. So the thing about innovative companies is that they tend to grow. They tend to do well. Whether it's a good time or in a bad time, because they've got something right and they're doing it differently. It's difficult to compete with them. And when a company is growing, they're doing a couple of things, but two things are good measures of growing companies. One is top line, the revenue, how much income they are making, and then secondly is the number of employees that they have. This is not always the case, of course, that not all companies will have the same employee to growth ratio, right? Some companies will need more employees the more they grow, whereas others it's less. But generally, what that does result in is that when the company does grow in revenue, that is an increase to the economic output or measure from a GDP perspective, and potentially a higher tax base that they can then contribute to, whether that's in PAYE or in the taxable profits that they take home. But there's a value chain of money that circulates. Companies is earning more as a higher top line. And that create more jobs. Because they also need more people to do those jobs, and those jobs will be different. But what is really important about innovative companies and why it matters that to say that we don't want, not that we don't want, there's SMMEs and there's startups. The SMMEs are important and they play a role in being a foundation to the economy, but they're not the ones that are going to be creating many new jobs in the economy. It's going to be the scales and and those that grow fast. And so I think there's a balance there in how we solve solutions and apply innovation in a way that in a way that still creates many jobs. But those are the companies that become the corporates of tomorrow. Just yesterday, Discovery was a startup and selling insurance, and today it's a global business. It's a global corporate that's still innovative and employs thousands and thousands of people.
I certainly hope that this will create more jobs. Buntu, thank you so much for your time. Buntu Majaja, their CEO at SA Innovation Summit.